I'm Yusina, and welcome to my Genshin channel. Before I go any further, I need to warn you, this video will contain major spoilers for the Luna III Archon Quest, as well as touching on both the Witch's Homework and Durin's Story Quest, so proceed with caution in case you haven't finished them. With that out of the way, you probably guessed from the vague title that the video will be about how do we bring Columbina back, or if we can even do that after her possible death. Now, obviously, she will come back somehow, since after the Archon Quest, we still have a whole patchwork of Selenic Chronicles to get the Notcry wings, and she will likely be playable eventually, given the fact we could already play with her to a degree, and she got her own card during the Notcry character reveal, so the only question remaining is, how? There is always a possibility it would be just some brand new magic or entity we never heard of, but for the sake of theorizing, I wanna go through some ways I think she could come back to the living. The cards are definitely stacked against her, quite literally, since her tarot card for the future was death, and after the final cutscene, she literally got shredded in the moon's reflection, of which we know there is no coming back from. However, there are already quite a few things here that might turn this story for the better. If you remember Barbella's divination, she said that the card death can mean rebirth, and while it can be the end of all things, it can also be a new beginning. And on top of that, the original real-world death tarot card also isn't necessarily meaning death, it's definitely closer to rebirth and transformation. Regardless the path towards that, I think we will eventually get her comeback in Luna 4, potentially because of the death of her old self and the birth of the new Columbina Hyposelenia. Names are really meaningful in Genshin, Alice even saying a name is the mirror of destiny itself. And that was already an important plot point in Archon Quest 2, when Columbina was only able to reappear once her name got anchored into Tibet. I think something similar will happen with the whole rebirth too, the meaning behind that being that she will now be a Tibetan, so the world can accept her. That would also mean she could now stay here forever and no longer need to return to the moon, so it would be very convenient for the whole story. But again, how we are getting to that point is the real question, and that's where, while I will theorize a bit since it's fun, more likely there'll just be something completely new that we haven't heard of yet. With all that being said, I wanna go back to the tarot cards, since that might play a pretty big part in it, more ways than one. If you are a Veil and have all the Lunar Arcana cards from the Imaginarium Theater, you might have already been familiar with the Death card, showing none other than the ruler of Death herself, Ronova. And the description of that card is certainly curious too, talking about how Ronova one day might want to come down to Tibet and witness humanity up close. Now, this might be far-fetched, but we already have a shade who got merged with a human, so I don't think it would be that weird if Columbina's comeback would follow a somewhat similar pattern, in Ronova granting her some power in exchange to be able to see the world through her eyes or her senses or something. But in an even crazier scenario, I could even maybe see them merging, though that is very unlikely given the fact Ronova got her own introduction card. So my prediction is just it being a power landing scenario, like how Venti is likely getting some of his powers from Istra. I know I said this in every single prediction video, but now I really do feel like we will get shades involved, because the Gods Limit video was no coincidence. We got a bit of a Dottore in Durin's Story Quest, and Dottore even mentioned by name the Heavenly Principles and all the shades in the final cutscene too. If something wakes up the Heavenly Principles, it will be this. And another shade connection might also be with the missing Asmodai, since she rules the spaces and now Columbina is in a very special space, the moon's reflection. Yeah, we have seen this before, and I need to talk about it so much, since last time this is where we yeeted Rerir, but also it came up a tad before that, now knowing that the moon's reflection is the moon gate, to which Tolin this fell into. And holy moly, there are already so many connections to that very scene, with both of them seeing that as a solution, delaying an important event, be it a wedding or returning to the moon. And while for now it seems like there really is no return from it, with Rerir obviously being an exception as the blasphemy against that, I think this all will be the center of Luna 4. I can see this going two ways, but in both of them, I really think we will see Rerir in that same space again. Now it could be that only Columbina's body was destroyed and her consciousness still lingers around, or maybe Rerir just seen her before that happened, but I really think Rerir would wanna help out Columbina this time around, or maybe even asking Ronova's help, as I mentioned, who I think will be a part of it, all because of Tolindis. We don't have nearly enough information to guess really what's gonna happen, but one story I could see happening is that Columbina helping Rerir find Tolindis and in return, somehow he would help Columbina get back. If we are really involving Ronova in all of this, could be Rerir will sacrifice himself, stripping away his title of blasphemy against that, in exchange of Columbina and Tolindis returning to Tibet. But again, as I mentioned before, the whole reuniting Rerir and Tolindis might be a different plot from Ronova just wanting to go down to Tibet in some form. What happens there in the moon's reflection could go in any direction, so I won't harp on that further, but I also need to mention what's happening in Tibet. Because while Dottore's original plan failed and the world fought back with only 2 moon marrows, even if Columbina will return eventually, at the moment, if she's dead, that would mean the Frost Moon Marrow might just appear somewhere, and you already know who will be the first to go for that. No matter what happens, Dottore definitely has at least the power of 2 moons, and he knows no boundaries. I wouldn't even put it past him that he himself would try to go through a moon gate just to get that one lost moon, be it Columbina or just the marrow left behind. And why would he do all that? There have been hints to that, and while we don't really know the reason for it, he wants to create a moon. He already kinda did to capture Columbina, but I'm not sure if he just gave power to the false moon in the sky or if that small device was sufficient for it, but nonetheless, he did manipulate the so-called variables so that the Hyperborean phantoms believed him and that this savior would make a new moon for them. Which is probably his real plan in the end, but that also leaves us with one more question that I mentioned so many times. How many moons are there in the sky? This was the headliner in the Sumeru event, and while even after Luna 3, everything points to 3 being the answer, Nico mentioning Nibelung imprisoning the 3 moons as well, I have to go back to the hymns of the Far North book where the prayer to Istra talking about may you protect the 4 imprisoned moons. And this is extra interesting since the prayer also talks about the Verdant Crest, which did not exist at the time of writing that. They write it off as scribal error, but like, come on, the prayer to Istra? Certainly there is some time trickery in that, and if that's the case, it might show a glimpse into the future of there being 4 moons. And I also want to mention, despite the fact if you watch any of my videos, you exactly know where I'm going, Valkyne Moon. The name of this whole year was so far mentioned only one single time in the game. That is the giveaway item description of the Blessing of the Valkyne Moon, saying it was the first moon we've seen in Tibet. So while I was editing the video, I noticed I wasn't completely right, since the final reward of the Serenic Chronicles will be the Wings of the Silent Moon, and the description of that is a stylized wing glider gifted to you as a mark of the Valkyne Moon's acknowledgement and recognition, and that basically means the Luna 4, we will know what is the Valkyne Moon. And that's it, back to the video. So it's like referring to that false moon in the sky, right? I mean, there could be some other crazy scenarios. Even in Act 5, there has been some sus moments with the spaceship. It might have been there way longer than 500 years. I really don't think so, but Dottore's little gadget might have played a part in that as well. I mean, if we're talking about time manipulation, anything is possible. But with all this knowledge, and with Dottore likely not giving up so easily, I can definitely see him somehow activating the false moon, giving it the name Valkyne Moon, and continuing his havoc over Tibet. And if that's the case, at the end of this video, I only have one more question left. Will that be enough to finally wake up the Heavenly Principles? Even if not, the Shades will definitely be involved this time around, and in just a short week, we might even get the final confirmation of Columbina being alive, or at least the fact she will be reborn, if she appears in the next strip marketing, which is scheduled for December 9th. Until then, I will have my usual Miliastra Monday video, which is gonna be really hype for one game I found today, and immediately the next day, I will obviously make a video about whoever is coming in Luna 4. So as per usual, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give a like, and if you want to see more content like this, then make sure to subscribe. I will see you on my Genshin channel, and see you in the next one. Bye bye!